Welcome to Quality Management in the Digital Age for Maine Contractors. This course was developed in partnership with a group of global construction professionals and industry thought leaders who have shared their experiences so that you can benefit from their lessons learned. You need to ensure all stakeholders understand clearly what's in it for them. There are many benefits to a digital quality program. Risk mitigation, improved quality, winning more business, and creating operational excellence. We will look at a stepped process towards executing on a best-in-class digital quality program. Let's get to it. I challenge you to think about what the next steps are for you and your project team. Hello there, my name is Matt. Welcome to Quality Management in the Digital Age for Maine Contractors. In this course, we'll discuss how you can take positive steps towards digitizing your quality assurance and quality control program on your construction project. This course was developed in partnership with a group of global construction professionals and industry thought leaders who have shared their experiences so that you can benefit from their lessons learned. From time to time, you'll hear from my British partner with expert tips. Upon completion of the course, you'll have a greater knowledge of what a best-in-class digital quality program looks like and have a couple very practical next steps you can take away to try on your project tomorrow. At the beginning of the course, we'll set the scene by exploring why digitization is a relevant topic in our quality management programs today. Then cover what potential benefits are for you and your project team. The remainder of the course will follow a structure that's used in all of the courses in the field curriculum. We'll refer to this as the Perry model. First, we discuss what should be planned before moving into how you may approach executing on your digital quality management program. Doing this gives us the opportunity to leverage reports and data analytics to surface insights into project performance. We'll finish the course by discussing how you may put in place foundations for continual improvement so that each and every day moving forward, your quality program has the opportunity to get better than the day before. At the completion of the course, there'll be a 5-question knowledge summary. Once it's done, we'll generate a certificate that includes your name, the name of the course, and the continuing professional development accreditation. Additionally, you'll see that you've made progress towards completion of the Contech Academy in the field accreditation. This course is built for Maine or general contractors and construction managers who are looking to improve their existing quality programs with digital computing. We will not cover the use of any particular hardware or software tools, but rather just start by focusing on what we want to accomplish and the process how to do so. At the end of the course, if you're interested in taking additional steps, we'll provide links to best-in-class industry tools that'll assist you and your team. Understanding your project's tolerance for change is very important. That's why, throughout the course, we'll emphasize taking a pragmatic approach by outlining a series of steps that can be taken. Whether you're just starting or have a well-established digital quality program and want to pick up a couple tips, tricks, and best practices, this course is something for you. At any time while you're taking the course, you'll be given access to download a wealth of supplementary materials, templates, and guides that you can use as a starting point or for reference. You can download them by clicking on the Resources tab. These resources are being shared with you from the industry thought-leading organizations that have helped us build these courses. Visit the Partners page to learn more about these companies. So let's get started with quality management in the digital age. Let's take a look at why this course is relevant today. Throughout history, mankind has innovated. Through the agricultural revolution, we transitioned from being foragers to farmers. The Industrial Revolution, which many say is still occurring today, marked a shift from performing tasks with our own hands to leveraging machinery. Adapting to new tools and technology is nothing new to us. We've been doing it throughout history. Today, we are well into the digital revolution, and all industries are trying to figure out how to take advantage of the tools at our disposal. So that we can best take advantage of digital technology, this course will focus on how we can improve the underlying process in our quality program. This course is particularly relevant to all of us in construction because we know the industry has lagged in its adoption of digital technology. McKinsey & Company, one of the world's most prestigious management consultancy companies, conducted research in construction industry in 2015. Among their findings was that the construction industry was in fact second to last in their adoption of digital technology, only behind agriculture and hunting. This is one of the key factors in why construction labor productivity has been relatively flat compared to most other industries, most notably when we look at the gains that the manufacturing industry has achieved over time. We see a drastic contrast. Now, don't get me wrong. Comparing the mass production of the same product over and over again that was historic to the manufacturing industry with the custom nature of every construction project isn't exactly mixing apples to apples. However, more and more we see prefabrication techniques evolving and becoming more and more commonplace in construction. For example, we've seen successful examples of design for manufacturing and assembly, or DFMA, where instead of designing for a final product, modular components are being designed for assembly. This is underpinned by the growth of a manufacturing-oriented mindset akin to lean principles that focus on flow and reduction of waste. Many of you may have seen the graph of U.S. labor productivity in the construction industry versus all other non-farm industries. Put out by the U.S. Department of Labor, it highlights that construction is drastically lagging in finding productivity benefits as technology and innovation have become available over time. Recently, McKinsey & Company also took a look at labor productivity in the UK and Germany. Over time, we can see the overall economic productivity increasing while the labor productivity of the construction industry has stayed relatively flat. One takeaway is that this is a global challenge, not just localized to the United States or United Kingdom. I've heard many opinions on why we have been so slow to adopt digital technology. Many have merit and involve a deep investigation into the relationship dynamics of funding, contract methodology, and the customized nature of every project we work on. One thing I can say confidently, though, is that human nature plays a big role. Change has parallels with risk, and we are a risk-averse industry. For the sake of this course, when we say digital, we're going to focus on potential process change from the use of computers and electronic information. One of the underlying assumptions when we refer to the use of mobile technology throughout this course is that it's underpinned by digital technology. In construction, we see the continued replacement of paper-based plans and drawings, inspections being performed electronically, and data is being used to provide insight into project performance. More commonly, clients are requiring structured digital information that's searchable and easily accessible. Therefore, contracts include standard language regarding the use and ownership of digital information. As we progress through the course, I challenge you to think about what practical steps you can take to make an improvement on your project tomorrow. As you do, one thing to keep in mind is your team's readiness for change. Some teammates may be averse to trying anything new, while others might very well be frustrated that there isn't enough change. There's a senior site manager from an innovative construction firm out of the United States who once said to one of his teammates who was trying to introduce a bit of new technology, he said, "You need to remember that you were born into the digital world while I'm an immigrant to it." This quote really hit home. When deciding what the right amount of change is to introduce, the answer is not going to be, a little bit at a time. Or it might not even be, hey, all of it all at once. The answer really should be that it's what your team can handle. To make any progress in improving our digital quality program, it's important that we understand the potential benefits, effectively the why. In introducing change to any organization, it's critical that folks understand what's in it for them. This is really going to help you in gaining support and minimizing pushback. There are many benefits to a digital quality program. We've attempted to group them into 4 major categories: risk mitigation, improve quality leading to minimized rework, winning more business, and creating operational excellence. At its simplest form, many say that a main contractor's primary goal is to minimize risk in many forms. One of the most common areas of risk on our projects is ensuring that we're building off the most up-to-date set of information. Especially with projects involving many requests for information or change orders. The sooner and more real time we can get the information into the hands of those who need it, the lower our risk. Have you ever been in a situation where a specification lacked a particular detail, and so there was a paper RFI sent to one of your teammates, but somehow it slipped through the cracks and collected dust on somebody's desk? Meanwhile, construction continues, and the equipment that gets installed turns out to be way underneath specification. So here you are, in commissioning phase of the project, and finding that your system is way under performance. The RFI was filed, but the information never got to the right folks who procure equipment and then install it. A digitized program improves visibility to what is happening on a construction project in close to real time, so that risk can be identified and addressed earlier on. On one water treatment project, a team with a well-established digital quality program had just poured a concrete vessel and, using a digital laser scanner, identified that it was flexing too much. They had to rework it, but catching it at the point in construction rather than down the line saved a tremendous amount of time and money. A digital program enables us to leverage mobile technology to access and gather information from the point of construction. The information gathered now enables us to measure leading indicators of risk. Later in the course, we'll discuss how you can report on our quality program, including metrics like coverage and conformance that give you visibility into a project's risk profile. Additionally, by leveraging data, we're able to improve the way we select our trades and subcontractors based on historical performance, ultimately enabling us to assemble the best value team considering quality performance, leading to reduced risk. By digitizing our program, we'll improve the quality of our deliverable and, as a result, minimize the amount of rework. We see this in a couple areas. First, by implementing a digital program, we're making access to up-to-date, accurate information in the field a reality. By enabling our team to access the information they need when they need it at the point of construction, we'll have an improved output. On one project, the team really struggled to finish out the first floor. The quality manager and the senior site manager got together to understand why this was the case. Using their digital quality program, they were able to pull up a visual of where all the issues occurred and found a pattern where every fourth room on the floor tended to have a large number of issues. This was curious, so they looked at their schedule and they found that subcontractors were working out of sequence, causing pain for one another. The problem was less about the subcontractor's performance and more that they weren't working in the flow and sequence of the job. The digital issue list allowed them to visualize the problem so the remaining floors could be improved. Additionally, by digitizing our inspection process, we're able to ensure nothing slips through the cracks. Any defect identified is logged and won't be lost when having to transcribe your notes or shuffle through paper. Instead, we're able to ensure we're tracking every issue to resolution. By putting in place a checklist program, we set a baseline for quality by ensuring the most important areas are inspected. A digital program carries strong efficiency gains from not having to run back and forth to the project office to get the most up-to-date set of plans or drawings, not having to retranscribe your notes, and not having to assemble reports that can be automated. When performing inspections, instead of having to write down every observation, we can simply check them off a list or automatically associate a photo. The time gained back from not having to do these administrative value-less tasks can then be applied to performing value-add tasks, like additional detailed inspections that'll improve your quality. A digital quality program allows you to improve the visibility of inspection and test program to the project stakeholders you see fit. Many main contractors have reported improved relationship with their clients by providing visibility into all of the inspections that are being performed. What this did was put in context the number of deficiencies identified. Based on the project complexity, having a dozen unresolved defects, or as you might call them, nonconformances, it might sound like a negative thing, if that's all you really know. But if your client has visibility that you inspected 30 areas of work last week and made over 1,000 quality observations, then 12 nonconforming items in context seems very manageable. One of our partners sees the digital quality program allows construction management firms to engage clients and project team members in an open, hands-on deck, interactive environment from the onset of the project all the way through execution and handover. An advantage that they see is the ability to demonstrate to the project owners the principle that their project is now a collaborative partnership rather than an individual responsibility matrix. When we say a digital quality program improves operational excellence, we're referring to how it can improve a company internally, from its people, process, and relationships with third parties. Many will argue that the most important asset any construction company has is its people, along with their collective knowledge and experience. A digital quality program gives an organization the ability to take the best practice and knowledge from its most experienced teammates and capture it to be carried forward in the form of a checklist. Another advantage cited by one of our partners is the improved accountability of all project stakeholders driven from the digital workflows. For example, they have the ability to actually measure project performance of their subcontractors instead of it being anecdotal. The conversations they have today with their subcontractors are grounded in facts and data and carry a very different tone. Before we dive into executing on your digital quality program, there are a couple things we should plan for. At the foundation of a structured program is your inspection and test plan, or ITP. A digital communication plan will help you set expectations up front and leverage digital output to improve collaboration and customer satisfaction. Finally, we will look at a stepped process towards executing on a best-in-class digital quality program. Your inspection and test plan forms the foundation of your proactive quality assurance program and may be included in your works method statement. It may reference what bodies of work are inspected in reference to specification sections, when the inspections are to be performed, on what frequency, and with what sample size. Who performs inspections, including call-out of hold and witness points. How the inspections are to be performed, including definition of success or failure, how information is captured, including whether a photo should be captured, where information will be stored, and if inspection will be part of client deliverable. It'll include how nonconformances and conformances will be documented and managed. Optionally, we want to begin to tie inspections to project schedule, major milestones, and locations of installation. One of our partners says that since our implementation of dedicated digital workflow processes and procedures, our quality standards, i.e. their inspection and test plans, have become centralized and consistent throughout the entire company, no matter what the project size is or where the project location is. Due to having multiple office locations, this is critical in our success in keeping our company standards.
Hi, I'm Dave, and I'm here to give you my top tips on quality management in the digital age. My advice for making inspection and test plans user-friendly is to keep it simple. These are very important documents that, if implemented successfully, provide a tool to ensure structure and integrity in your quality program. But if you let them get too large or complex, they're just as likely to gather dust. As a quality control manager of one of the Contact Academy partners puts it, I much prefer ITPs that have a standard process to be implemented over and over again, with high-risk items listed for additional controls. Another way to keep it simple is to create quick guides for easy reference. For each major application, like wall tiles, create a single-page guide that highlights the things that are important, includes a reference benchmark, and then links to the appropriate specification or checklist inspections if further detail is required.
The goal of a digital communication plan is to have a clear understanding and expectations of quality among all stakeholders at the onset of the project. Then, a way in which you're able to hold all stakeholders accountable for their bits. Starting with a digital communication plan, which lays out just 3 things, will put you on really good footing. 1, the stakeholder. 2, the frequency of communication with that stakeholder. And 3, finally, the digital output. With your client or the project owner, it's very important that you clearly outline the expectations of your quality assurance process at the beginning of the project. The more detail you provide up front, the less subjective the judgment of the deliverable will be at handover. Be sure that this expectation aligns your inspection and test plan and procedure. The client's involvement in the inspection, optionally noting whether or not the design team is going to be involved. You want to note what visibility and reporting will be provided during and after the inspections. Perhaps the most importantly, a well-defined client handover process, including training and data deliverables. With all of your trades and subcontractors, be sure to include language in their contracts around their involvement in the inspection process. Share your inspection and test plan with them. Outline your quality assurance procedures, including resolution of nonconformances, RFIs, and change orders, including the expectations on timeliness and level of documentation of the responses. In this sample, we'll see that the stakeholder, frequency, meeting, and digital output have been defined. Focusing on the digital output drives visibility needed for real collaboration and holds all stakeholders accountable. As mentioned, it's important to take reasonable steps, often one at a time, so that your team has the opportunity to adjust and does not feel overwhelmed. To this end, we've developed a 5-stage evolution to help you decide what steps you will take. A great starting point is to digitize all of your reactive quality management defects and nonconformances by implementing a centralized digital issue log. This will help drive ownership, make sure nothing slips through the cracks, ensure it's all documented, including corrective action and resolution. Next, we want to get even more organized by bolstering our inspection and test plans with checklist inspections. This will cover you by ensuring conforming in addition to non-conforming observations are documented. Once you're comfortable with your checklist inspections, get proactive and start linking them to milestones in your project schedules and discussing their use in your look-ahead planning meetings. Once your team is on board, we want to get collaborative by enabling your trades and subcontractors to participate in the checklist inspection program. Finally, put in place a continual improvement loop so that the improvement never ends by implementing a corporate digital checklist template library. And put in place a process where every team member is empowered to feedback lessons learned. Having helped many individual project teams through this journey, often we get stuck in the reactive stage and seem to fight fires throughout the project lifecycle. Those projects that do achieve collaborative or continual improvement typically need strong leaders that encourage technology and collaboration in the field. We'll look at each of these stages in detail in the coming chapters. In this section, we gave you a couple foundational planning items to consider. We discussed the value and some sample content of an inspection and test plan. We discussed how a digital communication plan helps align expectations. And then we looked at a staged approach towards a best-in-class digital quality program.
In this chapter, we'll walk through the first 4 stages for execution of a best-in-class digital quality program in detail. First, how to implement a centralized digital issue log. Second, how to bolster your inspection and test plan with digital checklist inspections. Third, incorporating inspection activities into your schedule. And fourth, performing collaborative inspections with your trades and subcontractors.
A great starting point in digitizing our quality assurance program is to centralize our issues or defect log. Providing one centralized source of follow-up and action items helps all stakeholders stay on task and focused on what is important. Merging multiple lists or having multiple versions of the issue log leads to additional work and causes confusion among all the stakeholders. A centralized digital issue log enables documentation of nonconformances or work to complete on the fly as your team walks the site, provides real-time visibility, drives responsibility and ownership, and ultimately cuts down on communication delays and time to resolution. The core features are that there's a single centralized digital repository or a database, that stakeholders can easily access it on demand in the office and out on the site at the point of construction. That we have a real-time access and the ability for multiple stakeholders to collaborate and make updates without overriding one another. Finally, we want it to have role-based permissions, enable privacy and security, and help manage workflow based on the status of the issue. If we were to process diagram out our approach to implementing this, it'd look a little bit like this. First, we define what information needs to be captured, accessed, and modified, including by whom. This will quickly flush out what data attributes need to be set up. At a minimum, you'll want to separate attributes to capture certain information. Some of the things you're going to need to capture is a place where you describe what the problem is, as well as what needs to be done about it, where it's located. Perhaps you'll do that in relation to your work breakdown structure. You'll need to know who is responsible for resolving this issue. Traditionally, this will be one of your subcontractors. You'll need to categorize or give it a type so that you know how to manage it. You'll need to know what the status is so you can track it. You want to know what the date you found it was and what the date you sent it to your subcontractor to resolve was, so you can count how long it takes for your subcontractors to action and resolve these issues. And somewhere where the corrective action taken can be noted when resolved so that it can be referenced down the line. Some other information you might want to capture might include photos of the problem and potentially photos of the resolution, the priority or severity of the issue, when the issue is due, and when it was resolved. And you want the ability to flag an issue as having a potential back charge, schedule, or cost impact. The next thing you'll need to do is determine where your central issue log will live. Most common today's solutions will be stored in a cloud database to enable real-time access. Many solutions will have a mobile component so your team can log or address defects at the point of construction. Third, you'll need to determine who will have what level of access to the system. Often this is based on a set of roles on the project. For example, your team may have full access to all the issues, while your trades or your subcontractors may only have access to modify certain information for just the issues that they're associated with. Fourth, define how different types of issues will be resolved. Build a status workflow assigning responsibility at each stage. We've added a diagram of two common workflows in our course downloads. One for issues you manage between you and your trades and subcontractors, and another workflow for issues that were identified by a third-party team, like the architects, engineers, or the owner, or the client. Fifth, build an onboarding program to ensure your team, including external stakeholders, have the training they need to be successful. And finally, ensure there's a feedback loop. Collect feedback from your team and continually improve your solution and workflows.
Look, as they say, garbage in, garbage out. Setting up standard naming around all project data brought into our digital quality system ensures consistency in sharing information, thereby allowing us to leverage data analytics to measure performance and identify trends out of the system. Also, standard naming conventions help make sure all project stakeholders are speaking the same language as they exchange information, and if we carry them forward, it will reduce the learning curve on the next project. When we apply this to our issue tracking program, we should first define what types of issues are identified and for each clearly define the procedure for resolution. Here are the four most common types of issues and a brief description of each. Work to complete issues. These relate to work packages and tasks that have been identified as incomplete and require inspection once complete. Say the tile subcontractor started tiling a shower but hasn't set the shower pan. You want to remember to come back to have a look before they cover it up. Non-conformance issues. These represent defects in completed work and thus require rework. For example, the same tiler sets the shower pan, but it's not draining properly and needs to get reworked. Requests for information are also important to capture and track resolution. Often teams have rules of engagement that set expectations of response time between your team and the architect, engineer, or design team. Finally, before we can hand over the keys to our client, we need to capture our closeout issues. These represent the final list of issues identified that require resolution before we have final sign-off. In the UK, we refer to them as snags, and in the US, we refer to them as punch list issues. When setting up common naming around certain information, we should think about what information we want out of the system. Very commonly, teams will want to report on the number of issues assigned to certain subcontractors or related to specific locations, so you'll need to ensure they also have a standard naming convention. Finally, to ensure we're not just reacting and resolving issues that arise, but instead of putting in place measures to prevent similar issues in the future, we need to understand the root cause of any defects. We'll talk a bit more about root cause analysis in the chapter on reporting.
Digitally documenting issues is a good start, but it only gives us half the story. If I perform a wall close-in inspection and I hand my site manager a list of only the issues that I've identified, they have to assume that anything that's not on that list, it was checked and it was found to be conformant. We all know what assumptions do, and it's not defend you in case of a claim or litigation. One of our partners tells us a story from when he was first starting out in construction way back when, before there was mobile or digital technology. And his site manager, he'd ask him to perform an inspection. He'd come back from his inspections with a list of all the issues that he'd spotted, and the first thing the site manager would say every single time, regardless of how many issues he had identified on that list, he'd say, "What'd you leave out?" The site manager did this to make him think through the process and what could have been missed. Effectively, the site manager was pushing him to create a mental checklist back before we had digital checklists or a formal checklist program. By bolstering our inspection and test plans with a set of best-in-class checklist templates, we'll see the following benefits. We'll easily document all conforming inspection points in addition to those non-conforming issues. This gives us the ability to positively affirm conformance. They serve as a guide so that we don't miss anything. Maybe we spot a major defect like our studs are being installed too far off center, and we have to focus on ensuring we have a resolution path. Because our attention was diverted, maybe we miss a smaller issue like an incorrectly placed electric socket. They also drive conformance in how we execute our quality program, regardless of who does the inspection on a project or within your company, among everyone from the most junior to the most senior. They give you a mechanism to capture the best-in-class knowledge of the entire company. By sourcing the checklist template from your entire team, you can take the knowledge and experience over all of your team's years of experience and get it written down and share it out with everyone else moving forward. It drastically improves the speed at which your quality observations can be documented, resulting in the ability to observe and document a greater number of inspection points, ultimately resulting in higher quality. Finally, leveraging a digital program, you can analyze inspection results to better track quality program performance, including inspection coverage and conformance rates. We'll spend more time on these metrics in the next chapter. Let's take a look at a sample checklist template. We need to uniquely identify it. Some folks will number their inspections, others will reference the date and location or subcontractor being inspected. Each item on the checklist describes what should be inspected, gives a simple positive or negative response, and optionally can associate images or create issues to be followed up on. Many inspections will have an area you and anyone else involved in the inspection can sign off. We see how the checklist allows us to easily document not only non-conforming, but also conforming observations. This ensures evidence is always there, is never lost, and is searchable. For one of our partners, the inspection is part of the definition of done. The inspection isn't something that is completed afterwards. We see this in lean construction philosophy as well, where the work isn't complete until it's validated. If you haven't validated, you're not actually done. You're just saying you're finished for the day.
So once you have your digital checklist program in place, you want to get proactive by relating specific inspections to schedule milestones. Then ensure a process by which your team is planning for inspections that will occur with specific tasks and work packages, so you don't get caught on the back foot. Looking back at a wide portfolio of projects, one of our partners was able to see that a common thread among successful teams was that their project schedule not only called out work-related activities, but also test and strategy activities. For example, a precast fabrication meeting would be an activity in their schedule. With this as an activity in their schedule, people would talk about them more often in their coordination meetings and expected that an inspection was just another activity that needs to be done. Many teams will also conduct 2, 4, or 6-week look-ahead planning meetings, where they get together with all relevant stakeholders and talk about what work is to be performed in what sequence in the coming weeks. During this meeting, one topic should be what quality measures will be put in place for specific work. You'll want to discuss what, who, and how. What work will be inspected? Who is responsible for inspecting the work at different stages as part of the typical inspection and test plan? Be sure to call out hold and witness or sign-off points. And how the inspections will be performed with regard to sample size and level of detail. From this you can then source your checklist from your best practice corporate template checklist library and make any specific modifications for your project that are necessary.
The next stage of development of your best-in-class digital quality program requires you to get collaborative with your trades and subcontractors by engaging with them and getting them involved in the inspection process. In your 2, 4, or 6-week look-ahead planning meetings, involve your trades and subcontractors when building out your checklist to improve alignment and set expectations. This will reduce the number of nonconformances and resultant reinspection efforts required. As one of our thought-leading partners describes it, they turned a quarter on their quality program when they enabled their subcontractor partners to take ownership for their own quality programs, before they invested time into quality assuring their work. For some subcontractors, they went so far as to allow the subcontractors to load their own checklists into their digital quality management system. This may not be necessary for all inspections. You may require this for particularly complex bodies of work, or maybe you require it when you identify that a particular subcontractor is struggling to perform a particular body of work. Depending on your team's culture, you may take a top-down approach and mandate it by including language describing the expectations of your subcontractors' involvement in their contracts. Mandating collaboration will only get you so far, though. You also need to ensure that your subs are on board by explaining what's in it for them and why this way of working benefits the entire project. Then, do as much as you can to make it easy for them to make the transition. One team I worked with went so far as to print out the initial checklist inspections and had them first fill them out on paper before transitioning to a fully digital solution.
In this chapter, we covered the first 4 stages for execution of a best-in-class digital quality program. We talked about how to set up a centralized digital issue log, how to bolster your inspection and test plan with digital checklist inspections, how to link your inspection activities to your schedule, and performing collaborative inspections with your trades and subcontractors.
Debatably, the largest benefit of a digitized quality program is that you now have the data that, if organized properly, can surface insights into project and program performance, arming your team with knowledge to make more informed decisions on a daily basis. In this chapter, we'll take a look at 3 common metrics used to measure quality on your project, take an in-depth look at root cause reporting, and then walk through the process of leveraging data to build insights. Executing a quality program on your project without measurements for success is like flying a plane blind. Sure, the most experienced pilots can fly by the seat of their pants, but that's no way to build a best-in-class, scalable quality program. By setting goals for success at the onset of the project with your team, you're going to improve stakeholder alignment and keep your team focused on performing. 3 of the most common metrics for quality programs are coverage, conformance rate, and subcontractor scoring. Coverage is a measure of the number of inspections or quality observations performed. By monitoring this, we have a way to better understand our level of risk or exposure on the project. Since on projects we can't check everything, we have to rely on sampling. Well, it holds that the more inspections or the more observations that we make, the less likely we are to miss something, and thus the lower the risk profile on the project. The inverse is also true. Conformance rate, it's a measurement of the percentage of work performed correctly upon initial installation. You can review this by inspection type to understand which areas of work or inspection procedures produce the highest or lowest conformance. This information will arm you with an understanding of subcontractor performance and areas for improvement. It also helps you identify where your team is spending additional time managing the trades and subs. If every nonconformance takes you 3 hours to determine the corrective action, line everyone out, and then re-inspect, that is taking away from the time that can be spent performing value-add tasks like additional inspections, increasing your coverage and reducing risk. Finally, one of our thought-leading partners tells us that the value of their company includes their relationships with great subcontractors, that a project can be made or broken upon subcontractor selection. They recognize that their success is intertwined. By measuring subcontractor performance, we have an opportunity to identify and help struggling subcontractors improve and have more information for the next project when we're selecting our team. We recommend putting together a subcontractor scorecard system. Your scorecard can get more advanced as your digital quality program evolves. As a starting point, you can leverage information out of your central digital issue log. This may include counting the number of issues by severity, including those that had schedule or cost impact, those that affected others, and the average time to resolve those issues as a measure of responsiveness. Your program becomes more advanced and you integrate checklist data. You can analyze trends to determine performance on specific bodies of work, or even specific sections or items on your checklists. One of our partners says that their subcontractor scorecards help them avoid anecdotes and get to the data. They're able to score their subs on every project by quality and efficiency. When working with their subcontractors, another partner looks for subcontractors who show improvement over time. This shows they're able to learn from their mistakes and correct behavior. It's also a decent indicator that the project site manager was able to work with them effectively and get the best out of them. Winston Churchill is quoted as having said, "Those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it." Well, maybe not quite in that voice. Well, funny thing about history, if it isn't written down and nobody remembers it, you're probably not going to learn from it. With our digital quality program, we have the ability to learn from our past so that we can better arm ourselves for the future. That's why putting in place a root cause reporting system is so important. Here's a 5-step approach to enhancing your root cause program. First, you have to look at existing and known issues to understand patterns. Then, determine a set of common root causes. Be sure that any root cause you determine would be actionable, meaning there's something you could do to improve next time. Also, keep the list as simple as possible if you want folks to fill it out. Third, make sure your team understands how to classify all defects with a root cause. Fourth, out of a centralized digital issue log, pull together all the root causes over a specified period of time. Find your biggest offenders in terms of how often they appear, how large their impact when they appear, and how actionable you could prevent them. Fifth, take action against the root cause and follow up and measure any change to drive accountability and further learning. This is a loop that should never end. Now that you've looked at some examples of how you can leverage digital information to surface insights and improve your understanding of project performance, let's recap how this is done regardless of what stage of development your digital quality program is. Here are 5 simple steps. 1. Have open discussions with your corporate or project team stakeholders and understand how you're going to measure success. 2. Determine where the data needs to come from to create those metrics. Determine how that information is going to be collected by your team. 3. Determine how that information is going to be presented out to your team. 4. Be sure to follow up and take action on those insights. Data for the sake of data is useless. And 5. Don't stop improving. Collect feedback and improve process. As your digital quality program evolves and more data is captured, supplement metrics or feed in additional ones. A truly best-in-class digital quality program is one that enables a culture of continuous improvement. We should strive to improve our quality program every day by leveraging the collective knowledge and experience of all of our teammates to benefit every one of their peers. Perhaps even more difficult, we need to foster a culture where our team feels ownership and empowerment to participate in this continual improvement. Construction at its core is a people business. The value of a construction company is their employees and their knowledge, plus their relationship with subcontractors, more people. The median age of construction worker is high according to the US and UK census data. And by 2025, 75% of workers will be millennials. Before our people retire, we need to unlock all the knowledge and experience in their brains such that the future generations can benefit. 2 ideas for doing this. 1, we want to capture all that knowledge and experience by digitizing it. When building your corporate template checklist program, sit down or follow around your most senior site managers and pick their brains as they perform specific inspections. Ask them what to inspect and what to watch out for in different scenarios. Some teams I've worked with have been effective in assembling a task force to do this. A second idea, perhaps a bit more radical, you can bring back but also reinvent the apprenticeship program. Traditionally pair up your junior site personnel with your senior experienced site managers, but create a relationship that's bidirectional. The senior teammates share their deep domain knowledge and experience as in a traditional apprenticeship, but in return, the junior teammates who were born in the digital age instead of being immigrants to it, assist in the use of electronics and technology. This bidirectional apprenticeship fosters a much greater mutual respect, provides benefit for both parties, and drives ownership for both generations. Introducing or changing culture to embrace continuous improvement, or as many might see it, change, is going to take intentional effort from your team. It all starts at the top. Rolling out a new process without buy-in from your management team will have you fighting an uphill battle. Next, you need to ensure all stakeholders understand clearly what's in it for them and what they will be held accountable for. If you can make the process easy for them and empower them to contribute, you'll be heading in the right direction. I've had the pleasure of spending time with some of the world's best-in-class quality teams, and here are a couple very practical initiatives that I've seen implemented in generating positive results. Develop a central knowledge repository for sharing information on your project or across all projects in your company. This may include best practices, lessons learned, or even your checklist templates. Put in place an easy process where any project team member can initiate improvement to the checklist templates, with lessons learned or from gathering insights from issue defects that continually pop up. This isn't too far off how in the original lean manufacturing, any member on an assembly line could hold up their hand and stop the assembly line and offer a process improvement idea to management. Leverage recognition programs to find subject matter experts and give them a microphone to share their knowledge and experience with the rest of the organization. This could take a couple of forms. One way I've seen implemented successfully is an annual awards program with a referral program that allows you to create multiple categories for awards. Some examples might be awards in excellence for particular project programs like quality or safety. Perhaps using project performance metrics like coverage to identify award candidates. Another award might be an award for innovation, where you can identify folks for improvement in process or their use of technology. Maybe even an award for collaboration that spotlights multi-stakeholder project teams. Alternatively to an awards program, you could more informally develop a lunch and learn program or webinar series where you can spotlight subject matter experts. Give them more visibility in the company while at the same time helping the rest of your company learn from their knowledge or experience. In this chapter, we briefly touched on many ideas for creating a culture of continuous improvement. We talked about capturing knowledge and experience, getting management buy-in and explaining the why, developing a central knowledge repository, enabling your teammates to give feedback, and building a recognition program. Congratulations! At this point, you've completed the Quality Management in the Digital Age course and are ready to do the knowledge summary. Here you'll have 5 questions that'll touch on a number of important topics we have covered. Upon successful completion, we'll generate and unlock a continuing professional development credit for your download. After that, I encourage you to complete the remaining courses in the Field curriculum so that you can unlock the exam and become Contact Academy in the Field accredited, which you can include on your CV or resume, or even add as a badge to your LinkedIn profile. Also, don't forget to download and leverage those resources graciously provided by our partners. Whether you're just starting out or are well on your way toward a fully digitized quality management solution, I hope this course helped provide you with some new ideas or helped you better structure how to think about some of the things you already were familiar with. We talked about being aware of readiness for change a couple of times. I challenge you to think about what the next steps are for you and your project team. So thanks again for joining me. Have a great day.